ACY, and which is Aerocentury Corp, and RHE, which is Regional Health Properties. Both these companies, these stocks have low float, and that's the reason they have such crazy change percentages for today. What happened was at around 10:14, 10:15, Aerocentury Corp started to well, wait, I'm missing a big part of the story. And the big part of the story, I'd say it's probably the most important part, was the fact it went from $3 all the way up to $7.24. Now, this was a pump. There was no news. They actually came out and confirmed this. They didn't understand why their stock was trading that high, because they didn't have any news. There was no material difference in their operations. And yeah, so it was a pump, and because the pump was effective over here, I actually think I understand why this went up so high, and I'll explain it the way I believe it happened. I believe it happened because of this specific pattern. So there's this kind of morning panic phenomenon where a stock will rise and it will fall a little below 50% of the rise. So actually it went up to, I'll show you the percentages. So you can see here the stock rose 123% at first. Then it fell to 59, roughly 58%. Okay, so a stock rises 124% and it falls to 59%. That means it went up and then it fell a little less than half, or it just falls less than half. That's all that has to happen. And then basically this is the recipe for morning panic. So if you had gotten in anywhere around here, you're kind of almost assured of a price increase. So what ended up happening is at the beginning of regular session it actually fell, and I kind of was hesitant to get in this because I saw that I basically didn't have the recipe right. Basically it went up past 50%, and because it went up past 50% before regular session started, in my mind I was thinking, you know what, this is gonna fall. That rise was it. It's destined to fall because it went up past 50%. The recipe is over. But no, it actually went down and it just continued. So actually, I think when you're looking at stocks, I'm sure there's a lot of people, good traders, who actually knew how to handle this. I personally, I haven't had too much experience trying to get into morning panic stocks, so I didn't know how to handle this. But had I a little more experience, I would have, I think I would have done really well, especially if this didn't happen. I'm sure I would have jumped in, because at this level, I would have assumed that it's going to fly up. And I think what happened is this this spike over here, I think that was probably not supposed to happen over here, but it could have happened over here had it been that low. So yeah, that's my theory on why it rose in terms of technicals, because it's really all technicals. If there's no news, it's all pump and dump. And yeah, so right now it's halted, and I don't know why they didn't continue it, because they said it was halted due to they said it was halted. Why did they say it was halted? Because they're gonna come out with some news. Where is the stock? ACY right there. So it said T1, which means trading is halted pending the release of material news, which already came out. And then it says T2, it says news has begun dissemination process through regulation FD compliant methods. I mean, I don't understand why that, I think the news already came out. It's not that complicated. How do you have to disseminate it? But anyways, the news was basically they didn't have anything. There's nothing changing in their operations. So, what else did I want to talk about? Yes, so how could you have handled this? Well, it was a fast-moving stock, so I would suggest 4 and 4. And another thing I would highly recommend is do set some stop losses and definitely take profit. There's no shame in taking profit. So here was 3, went down 1. So then there's this pause, and basically 3, you could have had this kind of thought mentality. 3 is greater than 1, so it's going to go up. So it goes up to 3, and then you have the exact same like odds against you. So 3 versus 1, and if you had gotten in after the long pause, you would have experienced this whole 1 to 22 hits on the band count on the upper bands. So the stock sticks to the upper bands. This is basically just a long hold. I have a feeling it will get dumped, but we don't know yet. Yeah, so it says to sell here, buy here, sell here. I've added the RSI, so you're looking at RSI signals and MACD based signals, because the algorithm is based on MACD and some other stuff. Secret sauce. Yeah, so it says to sell here, it says to buy here, and then it goes up, it says to sell here, it says to buy here, and then once you get to this kind of 16 level, sometimes stocks can drop at 16, and other times they can, you know, keep going like they have been, like this has been, and then other times I find that the kind of magic number it would usually fall around is 20, and you can see that the slope goes to 0 around 20, which is kind of odd, because like, who knows? Usually when you have a slope of 0, and something is like moving in a wave, that will be a sign of consolidation and it will fall. But it didn't fall here, it just kept going up. It's a low float stock, so yeah. Got some good signals from high-low GAN. Super trend, it was constantly becoming wider and wider, which is a bullish sign. And then there's my price weighted volume, and basically volume was a little low over here, and then it went super high over here, and then it was just volume, positive volume, building on positive volume. One thing I would be really, really, really skeptical of is the rise in price versus the declining volume. So usually when this sort of thing happens, you get price volume divergence. Like, I'm honestly surprised it didn't fall like around here or around here or around here. So maybe this is just a low float stock behavior thing, but yeah. So that's how I would have treated ACY, and I'll show you RHE. Hopefully it'll be a little quicker, because there was no pre-market like behavior. It was all just a random, during the regular session, just a volume pop. So what happened was the volume popped over here. It went up 161%, I believe. Yeah, let's see, 165%. And I'll show you the, okay, so basically it hit the upper bands 12 times, and then it started to fall. Now, like I said earlier, okay, like anywhere from like kind of 16 to 20 is usually where stock price falls. So basically anywhere before that, you can get in and kind of assume that the uptrend will continue. So that's what I did. I bought in at this price. Well, I didn't buy in at this price, but I bought in at this point. My order filled a little later than normal, because I'm using a bad broker. Only because my funds are there, that's the only reason. And then, yeah, I have funds there. And so it started to rise. And then while it was rising, it started to halt, which really was scary, especially because at this point it was outside of the bands. And I was kind of freaking out, because it jumped up this high, and not only that, like, the fact that it was outside of the bands, usually it's a really good sell signal, and I've seen a lot of halts before, and they can have pretty bad dips after. So I hit sell, and then I got filled at this price, actually 6.74, and then I made roughly 100% return on this, so it was really nice. But then because it's a low float, and I overheard people saying like, oh, RHE is going to be kind of like the next ACY, and it kind of was, because it did go up to like 900%, I believe. It didn't, yeah, it didn't reach 100. I'm sorry, 1,000%, but it did go up considerably. And then it ended up dipping at 23. So you can kind of see um, the whole phenomenon of dipping around 20 in this stock. You can't see it in ACY because it just kept moving up. You can see it in GRNQ if I rewind it. Let's see if I can show you that. So if I rewind it, you're going to see it starts to reverse around 20. Let's see. It's a little slow to load. Yep, right there. See? 24. This one stopped at 24 in reverse. So it broke through this middle band. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to reverse. It just has to fall, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So sometimes it could bounce. So other times it could just go straight down like GRNQ did. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. For RHE, so you could buy, I would use the algo signals as first priority as usual. And then the second thing I used was everything actually. Basically, Hilo and GAN told me to buy at this point. Price weighted volume told me to buy at this point. Rate of change told me to buy at this. Well, rate of change actually didn't really tell me to buy at this point because it was kind of sloping down at that time. But RSI plus MACD, it was hitting the buy threshold, so that was a good time to buy. So I bought in and ended up with a nice profit. And that's everything for RHE and ACY. I hope you enjoyed the video.